Welcome to the Artie Lange Show. Hoops is heating up, and the Knicks do not look like they're going to be invited to the big dance the way they're playing right now. A lot going on. You got Curry and his pure shooting. You got the Memphis Grizzlies, a bit of a story. Oak City without Westbrook. A lot going on in hoops, and to talk about it is our old friend Chris Mannix. Chris, what's up, buddy?
Artie, I always like to be on your sports talk show.
That's right. We just had a fight coordinator shove Bochetti's face in cake, and now we're going to talk some hoops.
Artie, can you also confirm, Marie told me when she called that she did 13 push-ups in the last competition. I did not see video of this, so I'm not going to believe it till you actually confirm it.
I don't remember 13. That's a bit much. Did Marie do 13 push-ups? I don't think.
They were not full extension push-ups.
Yeah, no, they were not push-ups. They were not push-ups. I'd say she did about 2.
That sounds more like it. Based on the human convulsion that I saw trying to do one
I know.
Last time, I can't see 13 actually happening.
They're young kids. They're 25. They go to Soul Cycle every day. They should be in better shape. It's embarrassing. Look, even if they did 13, just being able to only 13 is embarrassing. You know, I mean, at 25, I could probably, even me, I could belt out 20 at 25 years old.
Sure.
Chris, so look, the Knicks, what a mess, what a joke, what a disappointment. You know, and all these jerk-off celebrities, a new batch of celebrities, by the way, sit courtside for Knick games. It's always the same S-heads now. And I hate them. I hate that they have these good seats.
Like who?
Oh, this Olivia Wilde broad. She's everywhere. Can someone name a movie she was in? I mean, she's beautiful, but...
Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh, yeah. There's a biggie.
She was on House for a long time.
There's a biggie. House.
Yeah.
What does she got? She's got better Knick tickets than I do. I should be in those seats. You know how much fun it is to watch a Knick game? She doesn't know anything about it. She's in the paper every day, that Olivia
She was
Wilde.
married to a prince.
Every day.
She was married to a prince.
Exactly.
A literal
exactly.
prince.
Married to a prince. I mean, every day she's in the paper, like, looking at the game. Oh, wow, Olivia Wilde was in the front row. I hate it. I hate it. I want them to lose just because of her. I'm not rooting against the Knicks. I'm rooting against Olivia Wilde's happiness. She doesn't know anything about the game. It's just annoying. And same thing with Soon Yi. Woody Allen brings Soon Yi. She doesn't know anything. She sits there looking with a dopey look on her face. Soon Yi. So explain the Knicks. I mean, did they have a shot here, Chris?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Artie, before I mention the Knicks. I mean, you mentioned the courtside seats. Floyd Mayweather was at, I think it was game 1.
Yeah.
Or against game 2, the game that the Knicks made that great comeback to actually win that game, and you could tell Mayweather must have had $100,000 on the on the Pacers there, because every time Carmelo Anthony made a shot right in front of him, Floyd didn't even twitch.
Yeah,
it was just, he must have had a fortune on them. But look, no, they're done. Look, by all rights, the series should be over.
Yeah,
they're up 3-1 right now.
Yeah, they stole a game.
And if the Pacers didn't have that incredible brain cramp at the end of game 2, where they gave up that 30-2 run, we'd be talking about them moving on right now. I said before the series started, it was a bad matchup for the Knicks. The Pacers have size up front. They've got 2 excellent wing defenders in Lance Stevenson and Paul George that they can run at Carmelo Anthony. And we heard Tyson Chandler earlier this week talk about how this Knicks team was playing too selfishly, that it was too individualistic. And he's 100% right, because, the ball movement that became a hallmark of this team during the regular season, it just stopped. I mean, the numbers back it up. I mean, Carmelo Anthony's having these great 36-point nights, but he's finished with 1 assist. And they're not moving the ball around the perimeter to get the ball to him either. So it's Carmelo and 4 guys standing around. And as we've seen with Melo's teams in Denver in years past, that doesn't work. I mean, you get into the playoffs, you can get there with that kind of offense, but you're going to get beat in the first round. And the Knicks were lucky to escape a depleted Boston team in that first round. And now I think they'll be lucky if they can find a way to win this game at MSG later on this week and extend to the 6th.
The biggest black mark on this Knick regime, the Stoudemire-Anthony regime, is even when the brief Linsanity, there's no teamwork. There's individual stuff, there's no teamwork, and you don't win in the playoffs like that. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Hey, it looked to me like the matchup, like you said, is the biggest problem here. Like the bigs for the Pacers, you got David West and Roy Hibbert inside, and it looked like the Knicks were trying to double them all the time they got the ball, and then they just kick it out to three-pointers. How does Amari Stoudemire, if he's healthy, how can he help? I mean, they still have hope. If they incorporate him more in the game plan, if he can make it out there, do they have a chance?
Well, I mean, number one, he's not going to be able to. He's going to be on this 15-minute-per-game minutes restriction for the rest of the playoffs, or at least for the rest of this round, however long it lasts. And I think where Amari would be helpful would be more on the offensive end of the floor. They could play a little more inside out. You saw in this game the way they came out with their starting lineup. They went big for really the first time all season. You know, they played Kenyon Martin at the 4 spot. If Amari was healthy, you could play Amari at that 4 spot and expect to get more offensive productivity. But Amari Stoudemire has never been even an above-average defensive player. He's average one at best, and only average because he can block some shots. His athleticism. You know, David West would probably gobble him up the way David West has gobbled up everybody else in that Knicks front court. Roy Hibbert has made Tyson Chandler, you know, one of the better defensive players in the league, a guy that just finished on the first team all-defense, voted on by the NBA coaches.
Right, and Hibbert wasn't even
really
voted on.
Hibbert's been phenomenal for 3 of these 4 games in this series. So I'm not sure that Amari would help the team defensively, but, you know, certainly if you can put Amari Stoudemire out there for 25 to 30 minutes and not, you know, 35-year-old Kenyon Martin or whatever he is, then yeah, you're getting an upgrade. But I'm just not sure it would be enough of an upgrade to beat Indiana right now.
Definitely not. I mean, listen, to me, Chris, is there any reason why you shouldn't just FedEx the trophy to the Miami Heat? Just why even play? Why even play?
You know, it's going to be interesting when we get to this next round. And the only reason it'll be interesting is if Indiana can win one of these first 2 games against Miami, and I'm assuming they're both going to win, which I think we can all assume. But Indiana can win one of these first 2 games. Indiana is a terrible road team. You know, they were under 500 on the road. One of the only teams, the only team in the top 5 in the Eastern Conference to be under 500. On the road. You know, they can't win there. And in Miami, back in, I think it was March, they got slapped by 20-plus points against the Heat. But if they can win one of those road games, Indiana also beat up on Miami in 2 games in Indianapolis this year. They have confidence playing there. They're a much, much better team playing at home. If Indiana can win one of these 2 games, they can give Miami trouble. Go back last year, Artie, in the playoffs, second round. Indiana was up 2-1 on the Heat going home.
I remember,
They were up double digits at halftime of Game 4 before they just had an implosion, gave up that lead and couldn't win the rest of the series. Indiana gives Miami a lot of problems for the same reason they give New York problems. They can defend on the perimeter. They got size on the inside, which is Miami's Achilles heel. If they can win one of these first 2 games, I'm telling you, Indiana can make it a series.
Interesting. Well, what do you think about the Golden State Warriors' chances of continuing their kind of Cinderella season?
I got to tell you, John, I've got no feel for this series whatsoever. I mean, you know, you left San Antonio after games 1 and 2. You saw Golden State feel like they controlled, you know, 7 of the 8 quarters, you know, that were played down there. They should have won both those games by all rights. Then they go back home, a place they've been great all season long, a place that has one of the top 2, along with Oklahoma City, best atmospheres in all of basketball, and they didn't play very well. You know, they won one of the games, but they didn't play very well at all. When they went home. So, you know, and they won, they actually won on defense, not on shooting. Andrew Bogut held Tim Duncan to 5 points in the second half of that game. So, you know, they've been effective in strange ways. I mean, now it's a 4-point game in the third quarter of this one, but I just honestly have no feel for this series whatsoever. I do think that if Golden State advances, they're too raw and they're too young and too, you know, underdeveloped in the sense of postseason experience to beat a team like Memphis, which is developed, which does have a ton of experience and does have such unbelievable size up front that I think would overwhelm this Warriors team going forward. So even if they win this one, I think the Cinderella story would stop in the next round.
Which side of the fence do you fall on the Derrick Rose argument? Are you for? Are you all over him for staying out, or you think he should take the full year and then just fresh start next year?
I go back and forth on this, Artie, and I've gone back and forth on this show with you before. You know, on one hand, I'd like to see him give 10 to 15 minutes. On the other hand, I've never had that injury, and players I talk to who've had that injury before tell me that mental hurdle is really tough to overcome. I do think that if Derrick got back out there on the floor and played a few minutes and made his first cut and took his first contact and realized that his knee wasn't going to snap again, his confidence in playing on it would go up 100%. I think he would have an unbelievable boost of confidence based on that, but he just doesn't seem willing to do it. And again, I've had a lot of conversations with players that have had this type of injury, and they keep coming back to the mental aspect, the confidence aspect. So I'm okay with Derrick Rose, you know, sitting out as long as it takes him to get healthy, because he's the future of this team. And this is a team full of 20-somethings. This is a team that has a window of opportunity that's going to be 4 or 5 years long. As tough as it is for tough a pill is for the Bulls to swallow, I think right now it's the best thing to do.
Bichetti, I'm going to let you get in on this. We never let you in on the conversation. Chris is a friend. One question about basketball, pro basketball, and try to make it a smart one. Go ahead.
Chris, what was your favorite Knicks team? I love the 73 Knicks. I got to see them play when I was a kid. They were awesome.
Very relevant.
Team? Oh God, I like the Ewing teams because they were tough. I like the people watch the Pacers and the Knicks right now, and they keep trying to compare them to the Pacers and Knicks from back in the day. It's like apples and oranges. Those Pacer and Knicks teams went to war every single night. They strapped on their helmets, the Davis boys in Indiana, Oakley, Mason, Ewing on the Knicks. I mean, those things were street fights. This is more of a finesse game between these two teams. But I've always got a fondness in my heart for the physical type series. That's why I like Chicago and Miami so much.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just to me, we're it's funny how generations can produce new superstars, new dominant guys every once in a while. We saw Jordan, we thought we saw the best ever, bar none, and now we've produced LeBron James. And how do you rate the year LeBron James had this year, and the year that the Heat had as a team in history?
Well, I mean, I thought this was, one of the greatest years I've ever seen a player play in LeBron, both from the aspect of, he picked up all the individual honors. He could score, he could pass, he could rebound. But his team, from wire to wire, start to finish, was the best team in basketball all season long. And
right.
That was, to me, was a major accomplishment for LeBron and for this team. And to the point where I was stunned that someone could give somebody else an MVP vote. I mean, I thought LeBron deserved the distinction of being the first unanimous MVP in NBA history, and to not be able to say that, I think is disappointing for him and disappointing all the way around. It's tough to put into context because Jordan had some great years, both individually and team-wise. The 72-10 year obviously ranks as the best season ever. But for context purposes, I mean, I think LeBron, I'd say, is probably this year for him in the Heat. It was probably a top 10 year for any player out there ever.
The one guy who didn't vote for him, leave it to a bitter New Yorker. I guess a New York guy.
No, it was a Boston guy.
Oh, was it? So, I thought because Melo got the vote, right?
Melo got the vote, but it was a Boston guy that gave it to him.
Oh, no kidding. That's funny.
How about that irony?
That's funny. Well, listen, he's probably aggravated because of Ray Allen. I'd be too. Any surprises in a prediction you could give us, Chris? Or are you straight up Heat and who?
I think Memphis right now is the team to beat in the West. They got a gift when Russell Westbrook went out. The dynamic of everything. It's made, people talk about how smart the Grizzlies were for trading Rudy Gay at midseason. But they got a gift, no question about it. If Westbrook was in the lineup, I don't think this would be much of a series. I think that, it would be tough, it'd be physical like these two played before, but I think that Oklahoma City would win it one way or the other. But Memphis, they got a gift because of that. But either if it's against San Antonio, who, remember, Memphis did beat 2 years in the playoffs, and they were the 8th seed, and San Antonio was the 1 seed back in 2011. Or, like I said, Golden State, a raw team. I think Memphis will be the team to beat. And I'm curious to see what a Memphis-Miami matchup would look like, because Memphis, back in November, they absolutely destroyed Miami on their home floor, in Memphis on their own home floor. They just crushed them. It was a 20-point game that wasn't even that close. And I think that's something to watch, because Memphis, they love to beat you up on the inside. Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, they've got those waves of bigs, young bigs, that can put a lot of points up on you that they can send to Miami at any given moment. And the Heat, even though Chris Anderson has been a big pickup for them, they're still, vulnerable on that front line. So I'm curious to see what a Memphis-Miami series looks like, because if Memphis can control the tempo, if they can make Miami play a half-court game, which is the type of game they want to play, they can give themselves a shot. But right now, Artie, you still have to say Miami, because they've won every game but one during this postseason so far, and that was coming off an 8-day layoff that they lost. They still have to be considered a head-and-shoulder favorite.
Chris, I'll let you go with this one. Is it immature of me, and how would you have reacted, actually, and the rest of the league have reacted, if the basketball player to come out as being homosexual was Rudy Gay? How great would that have been for the media and basketball?
Well, it would have sent Twitter into a complete meltdown.
Right.
It would have led to more headlines for Jimmy Kimmel and Leno than you've ever heard.
Can you think of one clever headline for your column if Rudy Gay was in fact the homosexual?
Oh, I'd have to think about that. I don't want to blurt one out right at the top, but
No, you don't want to do that.
I'll think about it, and the next time I'm on, I'll give it to you, because I think there's plenty of good ones out there.
And tell your colleagues also, Burger King targets the McRib, and they're going to have a new BK rib sandwich, and that's big. That's big news here. So yeah, listen. We appreciate your take on all this as always, Chris. And John, do you have anything in wrapping up, or?
I'm good. I'd like to talk about the BK rib sandwich.
Oh no, we'll get into that extensively. Chris,
I know you're always a healthy guy there on the Artie Lange show.
No, we're trying. We are trying because.
Sponsored by Whole Foods and whatnot.
We're getting very organic with our stuff here.
Chocolate syrup there made out of organic materials?
Yeah, we're going to have a gluten-free summer. It's a gluten-free summer on the Artie Lange Show.
Well, Artie, I'm waiting for the draft show. We still got that coming up, right? We got Boschetti reacting to the draft picks.
Definitely. We have to do that.
Thank you, Chris. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. Like every other prediction Mike makes, it's going to be amazing. All right, thanks, Chris. Talk to you soon, brother.
You got it, Artie.